Absolutely. I think it's really interesting that you use the phrase cover up, because I've certainly had multiple conversations with foster parents, adoptive parents, and more frequently for myself, residential staff, where they're saying, oh, I'm seeing this behaviour and it's because they're ADHD, or it's because they're autistic, or because they've got some other letters attached to their name that's come from CAMS. And I don't necessarily disagree with the diagnosis, but what I want them to do is break it down a little bit more, and let's have a think about, is this truly the diagnosis, or is this in relation to the trauma that they've experienced, and maybe living in active trauma at that time. And I think that, I guess, there's this worry that I have, and I see it more and more, and I am getting, or I've developed more confidence in being able to challenge people on this, is just because somebody has said they're ADHD doesn't mean everything they do is related to their ADHD, or everything is related to their autism, or their PDA, or their ODD, or whatever else it might be. And so sometimes, whilst we recognise there's very strong similarities between presenting behaviours for trauma or being neurospicy, which I do love that terminology. Yeah, there's those similarities, but there are key differences. And I guess the bit that we can start to think about today is, what are those similarities? What are those differences? And do we really have to put them in a box? Do we really have to go, here's our trauma box, let's pop those behaviours in there. And then for the same child, here's our neurospicy box, let's pop those behaviours in there. Does it really matter, if we're being therapeutic parents, which box we're putting them into?
I think you're so right. It's about seeing the child as a whole, isn't it? And neurodiversity, especially when you think about autism, it's a scale. The same as attachment is a scale. It's not a tick box exercise, which is really easy. If they do this, 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 and this, if they put all their toys in the same row, if they become very fixated, and if they have to stack their shoes in a certain manner at the end of the day, oh yes, they're autistic. It can be so many different influences, and it can be depending on so many different aspects. I think the underlying message from my point of view really is about, what is it that my child is struggling with? How are they seeing the world? What can I do as a parent to try and make that easier for them? And there are professionals out there that you've mentioned CAMS, which is an incredible service. Unfortunately, quite oversubscribed, huge waiting lists. And when you're living in a situation that is very stressful, you don't want to be put on a waiting list. You want some
You don't want to be
support.
told it's 3 years' time.
No, not really. I've heard that ADHD assessments are taking 3 years at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that is just an incredibly long time for a parent and child to be in limbo, not knowing some key strategies or some key ways of moving forward.